What's up, guys? Welcome back to DCA. Today what we're going to do is talk about Polkadot. So if you're new to the channel, what we do here is a lot of data analysis on different cryptocurrencies and the market in general in order to develop a more sound long-term investing strategy. So today we're going to be looking at Polkadot with relation to the rest of the cryptocurrency asset class, specifically Ethereum and Bitcoin and other leading altcoins. Okay, guys. So what we're seeing here is the DCA index risk model. This is a model I developed using a machine learning algorithm, which basically looks at one of two things. So for the larger coins like Bitcoin, it's essentially attempting to identify market cycle tops. For the smaller altcoins, what it does is identifies when these coins are overbought and likely in need of a pullback. So the way you would read this is when it's above 50, it's becoming riskier to hold that asset. And when it's below 50, it's becoming sort of oversold and more likely to head back upward, especially in the setting of a bull market. So if you're in a bull market and you're below 50, it's probably oversold like we saw here. Okay. Now you'll notice that it reached its maximum in February. Okay. And sort of went sideways for the rest of the market cycle. So if you would have sold all of your Polkadot right here based on, the DCA index risk model telling you that it's nearing 100 as high as you can go on the model, you could have moved into other assets and done, significantly better over the remainder of the market cycle. Okay. So this model is actually free, the trading view indicator, and we have it for numerous other altcoins like Solana, Cardano, basically all of the big altcoins we have this model for. So moving on from there, we're going to look at, like we said, the price history of Polkadot. We've been in this longer term uptrend now, basically since Polkadot was released back in August. It's been moving up fairly methodically. We made a big move in January and February, which is sort of what we expect. We've said many times on this channel, Bitcoin runs the show. So Bitcoin's going to go first. Bitcoin took off in January, and then the other altcoins were able to follow suit. Numerous altcoins start making their moves after Bitcoin went parabolic. Okay. We basically got to this level in the middle of February, and it's right around this $25 level. And other than the time that Bitcoin fell below its 20-week moving average in the middle of May, we've sort of been treading water with Polkadot since then. We did hit a new all-time high recently, and we've sort of come back below it. And, we're sitting even below some of these levels that we were at in, February through May. So Polkadot at the moment hasn't really done a whole lot. I mean, even from its release, even if you look from this $2 mark, it's still kind of just been outperformed by a lot of coins, which is sort of silly to say when, essentially it's up 20x from where it released at. But the fact of the matter is it's been outperformed by a lot of things over the same amount of time. This will be comparing it to many of the other top altcoins. Okay, so we have Cardano, VeChain, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, Link, Algo, Matic, Luna, Tron, and Cosmos. So if you go strictly from the day that Polkadot released at a $2 price, it has outperformed a lot of things, although it's still been outperformed by, so up here you basically have Luna, Solana, and Matic. And then you'll note from this $2 price, it has just within the last day or two started to outperform Cardano. So Cardano was beating it by a significant margin basically throughout the market cycle up until very recently. So in about the end of October. So Cardano's went on quite a slide over this time, and Polkadot, in spite of being fairly sideways, has been able to surpass it. Now, interestingly, if you go, so let's look from May until we bottomed out, until the market bottomed out on around July 27th or 28th, or, basically the end of July, the last week or so of July. If you look here, so we're just looking at the relative percentage change over time for all of these different coins. Notice Polkadot actually performing the worst out of every single one of these coins from the time that the market cycle peaked in May until around here at, July 20th. Since then, Polkadot has made quite a nice recovery. In fact, it's outperforming a lot of these other coins. So if we come to, current day from that day, it's pretty much outperformed everything other than Solana. And that's obvious. Solana has outperformed everything, and Luna. So all of these coins have been outperformed by Polkadot. So it's sort of a tale of two stories. It did, once the market crashed, it crashed the hardest. And then once the recovery happened, it sort of went on one of the biggest recoveries. Now, with that said, we have been going down in price since around the 8th, but the entire market more or less has been going down in price, or has dropped in price since around the 8th. And that's as a result of, as we've said many times, Bitcoin has been going down. When Bitcoin goes down, lots of things go down. So, just pretty much if we look from this date, you can see everything's sort of trending down. Some things have done all right during this time, but for the most part, since around November 6th or so, everything has just been sliding downwards. Okay, so this is Polkadot to Ethereum. And the first thing you'll notice is basically since Polkadot came out, it made a quick jump on Ethereum, within the first couple weeks. But since then, we've basically been in a long-term downtrend. In fact, if you take a look at all of the price history, the average Polkadot to Ethereum ratio is 0.01, okay? So 0.01 dot to Ethereum. So currently we're sitting at 0.009. So we're about 20% under the average price with relation to Ethereum. And you can see that we've basically been using that average price almost as an area of resistance, okay? Now, the other thing you'll note is if you look at the trend that we've been making, we've basically been coming to this upper trend line, hitting it and bouncing down. And we've done that 3 times now. We were moving on an upward trend. Okay, so we were on this trend, but we've broken now below that. And we just did that on about the 10th. So 2 weeks ago in November, we broke below this upward trend that we were making against Ethereum. This is an interesting chart because anytime you're investing in an altcoin, you have to ask yourself if you're going to be bleeding against another altcoin. You're getting less stability from Polkadot because, as we showed, it's highly volatile. When we hit this downturn in May, Polkadot was the worst off out of everything, and that's including a lot of these older coins. So Polkadot was the worst off. And you have less upside potential. So we've been bleeding against Ethereum in the long term. Okay. So if you have, if this trend continues, I would have to, or, I do invest in Polkadot. And in fact, I have a significant position in it. But if the trend continues, you have to ask yourself, what is the benefit of being in Polkadot versus other things? Now, with that said, that does not take into account things like the parachain auction and, all these projects that we'll be building on Polkadot now. So that's definitely worth considering, but you have to keep in mind this ratio here, because if this continues to trend down, then there's no reason to be investing in it. And you could be looking to other things. You could be looking to be in Ethereum, which has less downside risk. Or you could be looking to be in other altcoins, which may have more upside potential. So this chart is one, if you're a Polkadot investor, you need to keep an eye on. All right. And I'm not trying to bash Polkadot. Like I said, it's actually one of my biggest positions. I'm only saying it because, like I always say on the channel, I don't have an emotional attachment to any of these coins. So the thing you have to do is sort of remove your emotional attachment to these various coins. Okay, so I see people, in comments and in various like Discord channels, Telegram channels, they get so emotional about these coins as if they were the ones who, have been developing it for years. And you're not, guys, you shouldn't have emotional attachments to these coins. That's how you get stuck with a loser and can't ditch it from your portfolio. Okay. So just keep it in mind and try and like use things like this to sort of remove your emotional attachment to things. All right. So now we're going to look at, and this is the brighter side of the story, is Polkadot to Bitcoin. And you can see that Polkadot has actually been in a more long-term uptrend with relation to Bitcoin. So we have been moving up with relation to Bitcoin, with the caveat that we have been rejected several times now by this sort of upper resistance level, which, you know, realistically is probably right in around here. Okay. So anywhere between 0.001 and 0.0009. Okay. So currently we're sitting at around, we'll just call it 7. Okay. So it's 0.0007, but we'll call it 7 for ease of reference here. So there's a couple of things to note. Our average price with relation to Bitcoin, so our average DOT to BTC price is 0.0005. All right. We've sort of made this, this lower support level at around 3. Okay. So we have 3, we have 5 as our average. We're sitting at around 7. And we have an upper resistance band that's anywhere between 8 up to around 10. Okay. So it will be interesting to see if Polkadot can continue. I wouldn't doubt if it comes back down to this line one more time before it, attempts a breakthrough. All right. So like I said, we have the parachain auctions going now. So this is going to be the critical time where Polkadot can show what it can do and how it will be treated by the market. I do tend to believe that we may, start a different trend against Ethereum and Bitcoin. So, if I didn't think that, I wouldn't be holding Polkadot. So it's just something to watch for. And again, this is an important trend. We're in this channel now anywhere between 5 and up to around 8. And we've been in this basically, if you look back, other than the time that Bitcoin went below its 20 week. So this is what we always expect. When Bitcoin goes below the 20 week, everything is going to bleed with relation to Bitcoin. It's nothing unique to Polkadot. Every single altcoin will bleed with relation to Bitcoin. Okay, so we will need to see if we can stay in this channel or if we can finally break above this level and hold above it. So if we can get above, 8 and hold it as support, then that's how you can see Polkadot start to, make a move with respect to other things. And I just wanted to show this because it's sort of telling where this is the DOT to BTC where, DOT has sort of been sideways. Ethereum to BTC has been in a longer term uptrend. Okay. So it's just something worth watching and something worth thinking about. If Ethereum is giving you better returns with respect to the rest of the market, or with respect to DOT, why would you be holding a coin that has a much higher downside risk? Okay, so it's all about mitigating that risk for the potential of upside. So finally, the last thing we're going to look at is sort of making some sort of price prediction. Here are various prices of Bitcoin, and this is how you should think about all altcoins, at least until, if the time ever comes that Bitcoin isn't the king of the hill anymore, but for the time being, it is. So you have to think of everything in terms of its Bitcoin valuation. So if you have DOT, and here are the various prices, and now here are these different DOT BTC valuations we discussed. 0.00035 was this lower level, okay, and this upper band that we've sort of ran into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times now, that's at around 10. Okay, so 0.00096. So we'll call it 10, 8, 7, 5, and 3.5. If Bitcoin has a valuation of $75,000, these are the ranges of prices that you could see Polkadot at. Bitcoin's at 100,000, and if Bitcoin's at 150,000. So you have to ask yourself, what do we think Polkadot is going to do? So let's take the bullish scenario. Parachains come out, lots of great projects start building on Polkadot. Bitcoin goes to $150,000 and we get back to this upper trend line, which we might even be able to go above if all of those things that I just said occur. If all of that occurs, and let's just say we got back to the trend line, that would give you a $144 Polkadot if we were only able to get back up to this upper level, right? So if you actually started going above it up to say, 12, 15, if you start doing that, then you start getting into $170, $180. So, if we got up to 20, for instance, so that would put us right here. I mean, that would give you a $288 or almost a $300 Polkadot. Let's say we have a moderately bullish scenario where we maintain our current valuation, but Bitcoin does get to 100,000 to 150K. Then you're looking at a $67 up to a $100 Polkadot. Okay. And I tend to think that if Bitcoin does get up to these higher levels, Polkadot will probably increase in valuation with respect to Bitcoin because people will be, moving into altcoins during that time. So if we get into this $100,000 up to $150,000 range, I think you would be looking at somewhere between $100 to $140 Polkadot. Okay. But like I said before, what would your Ethereum be at? Okay. So you have to consider what you're, how you're considering Ethereum into the scenario, or for that matter, other altcoins. Would they outperform DOT, or would DOT be the best performing? And if you're extraordinarily bullish on Polkadot and you think, well, it was bypassed in this last market, and so, it's due to run, maybe it does break above this, this sort of, this 10 level that we talked about. And maybe it does reach up to these higher valuations and start, challenging these guys up here. And if that happens, then you can see that. But personally, I like to play on the conservative side. So, if we were able to get to $100,000 Bitcoin, I would be thinking somewhere, this $100 mark would be a pretty good mark in my mind, because I would be looking for Polkadot to sort of stay in this range with respect to Bitcoin. In fact, you've seen a lot of altcoins do this in the past. Like we go back to Ethereum, when it hit its all-time high in 2018. So recall it was $1,200 right here, the first week of January 2018. But here, the ETH BTC valuation was higher here. It was only worth $400. So it went 3x. Okay, it went 3x, but went down in its value with relation to Bitcoin. So we could very well see Polkadot do something like that, even if Bitcoin gets up to these higher levels where, Polkadot cannot get back to, back up to these levels, and maybe it stays somewhere just like right here. Okay, so that would be something very similar to what we saw Ethereum do. So it just all depends on how it plays out, guys. If I had to give a range, first of all, you have to give the range with respect to Bitcoin, because it's not going to on its own go to $200 and just stay there. It's not going to happen. And if you think it is, welcome to crypto. It must be your first day. So that is not going to happen. If the market crashes, DOT's going down too. It's just how the market works. So, overall, I think if we're up to 100K, you're definitely looking somewhere in this range, somewhere between the $70 to 100 range. Now, if we're only able to get up to 75,000 or even less, then you're going to be range bound here. You're going to be range bound between 40 up to around 75. Unless parachain auctions, I'll give you, they are the trump card. So we have to see how they play out. But at the moment, the market says this is your range that you're bound by. That's it for this one, guys. If you guys like this type of content, hit like and subscribe. And until next time, as usual, see you.